They are like nothing else on the planet. A land-based vehicle that sounds like thunder and goes like lightning. With 10-foot flames and a roar to rearrange your insides, these 8-metre machines hurtle down the quarter mile at over 500 k's an hour and leave no doubt at all you've just experienced top fuel.
Hello and welcome to Western Sydney International Dragway for the 2004 Snap-on Nitro Champs. Once again, Sydney has turned out in droves to see the incredible top fuel dragsters, and already there's plenty in qualifying, with Johnny Cowan running a 477 at 321 miles an hour. Let's find out what happened in qualifying.
In front of a capacity Saturday night crowd, Johnny Cowan and the brand new Cowan Family Racing top fuel dragster sent out a warning to the rest of the field with an awesome first pass. Cowan's 477 at 321 miles an hour was the fastest pass in Australia's history, and at 513 k's, the first top fuel car over 500 kilometres an hour in New South Wales. Newcomers Darren Morgan and the Lamartina family top fuel dragster surprised everyone by running the quickest ever licence pass in Australia with a stout 485.
That was awesome. Just ready for things to come, I guess.
Morgan later qualified in the field with a 518, narrowly missing the centre line. In the lane beside him, Cowan reset the national speed record with a 499 flat at 320 miles an hour, backing up the earlier 321. Pommy Steve Reed put in a respectable 501. But later was unable to get the car in reverse. Bob Shepherd ran a personal best of 524 to take the number 4 spot. Roy Smith put in a lazy 694. Whilst Jim Reed, Terry Sainty and Luke Shepherd all had difficulty getting hold of the track. So the qualifying order looks this way, with Cowan 4/10 clear of the field, but there's plenty of horsepower dying to get to the racetrack. Welcome folks to the Snap-on Nitro Champs here at Western Sydney International Dragway, and it's High-Tech Oil's top fuel round 1. We're getting in the face of Jim Reed, Bob Shepherd. They'll be the first guys to match up. Nathan Prendergast, this amazing facility. Let's see some wicked action this weekend.
Yes, 8 top fuel cars and 1 in the pits. Possible 9 cars for this event. And of course, Sano Crane's electing to run only 1 of his 2 top fuel cars. Bob Shepherd comes forward now. Bob's your uncle, the uncle of Luke Shepherd, who has qualified into the field. Unfortunately, number 8, but Bob, a personal best for him of 524.
There's the Auto 1 top fueler there of Jim Reed. And let's say that it hasn't been all roses for Jim Reed as a competitor. As an administrator, he's been stoked, but he hasn't had a successful run down this strip yet.
Both cars into stage. They come out hard. Shepherd's got the edge. Reed starts to smoke the tyres, and he is not going to make it through to the next round.
Look at the flames coming out of the back of the Auto 1 dragster here. Reed's got a problem.
Jim Reed with a lot of fire out the back that puts oil on the brake rotors. The parachutes look like they may have been burnt, and he is going to hit the catch net and hit it hard. Jim Reed in the Auto 1 dragster stops hard in the gravel pit.
So it wouldn't have to be too good to be better than that opening run, Nathan.
No, Jim, unfortunately, as you said, in the first round wasn't very good for him, but dramas have continued here at the Nitro Champs with a brand new combination for Jim, and unfortunately, he hasn't really been able to get on top of it. They had fuel pressure problems during Thursday's test sessions, Friday's test sessions, and also Saturday's qualifying. No problems for Bob Shepherd, though. A personal best for him, 524 to qualify into the number 4 position.
And I tell you, until you have seen these things run in the flesh, nothing, and I mean nothing in motorsport compares to it. It literally goes straight through you.
Yes, 120 decibels plus, so you really do feel the noise that these cars create.
Once again, a fantastic crowd here at Western Sydney International Dragway for the Snap-on Nitro Champs. This facility really starting to get a toehold in the international scene as well. They're all talking about this incredible facility.
Bob, quarter-mile smile up against Jim Reed. Luke Shepherd put Jim Reed away. Oh, it's not going to happen this time. Jim Reed starts to torch it through the top end of the racetrack. You saw the header flames change a little bit, got very close to the wall.
He did, didn't he? Absolutely. 5:05 at 249.6 beats Bob Shepherd. Didn't even really get out of the blocks. And Jim, at least he pulls up at the end of the strip this time.
Yeah, something broke immediately on the Shepherd thing. You can see Bruce Reed there just pointing to the right. Yes, mate, the car got very, very close to the wall. They do that occasionally as Bob Shepherd pulls up just past the finishing line. Something must have broken on that car immediately on the step of the throttle. Let's have a look at Jim Reed. Look at the forces at play here. Look at the way the tyres distort. But definitely, Wade, that car got very close to the wall.
Yeah, a lot more close than Jim would have been comfortable with, that's for sure. Though you'd hardly say it was a perfect run by any means. Whether it tracked slightly to the left, it just didn't seem to be one of his best.
Take a look at this from the top end of the racetrack. Have a look at the header flames on the right-hand side of screen. See how they just changed. The car was starting to burn up parts. Then it dropped the cylinder and pushed itself over towards the wall. Jim Reed, very, very lucky there not to tag the wall.
Brand new competitor this weekend is Darren Morgan, driving for the Lamartina family out of Mildura. A fascinating story. We caught up with him earlier.
Oh, well, we've met Darren Morgan, who's our driver, about 6 years ago when he built just a street car for us. Yep. And then progressed that to a blown Capri that we ran in Outlaws. And then we took the big step and purchased this fuel car.
Why Top Fuel?
Oh, I suppose it's the pinnacle in sport and our business. We wanted to, we pride ourselves on trying to be, the best. So we wanted to be the best in racing. We've got a farm up 100 k's out of Mildura, and we grow carrots only. We specialise in carrots, and we supply the whole eastern seaboard. And that's we do about 30,000 tonne a year. Yep. So more than likely that across the eastern seaboard that you're chewing on our carrots.
Yeah, what's up, Doc?
Yes, there's a lot of people saying that car should be orange with green parachutes, but it certainly is a beautiful looking car as Darren Morgan brings it forward now. Up against Roy Smith.
Yeah, Roy and the Athelwood and Smith Top Fuel up. At least if the lights go out, the Lamartina Top Fueler should still be able to find its way down the quarter mile.
I have to say they are the nicest carrots I think you'll ever eat. I certainly would have never considered eating a carrot as a snack, but they are handing them out in the pits and they are beautiful. Darren Morgan, he licensed with a 485, but he had to then qualify the car. Have a look how close he gets to the centre line. He's left of screen, of course. He made it into the field with a 518. Brings the car back now, of course. This is the X2001 NHRA championship winning car from Top Fuel over there, so it is certainly a good bit of gear.
Yes, the Lamartinas you wouldn't expect have saved on cost. They've gone out and bought the best. As you said, coming from drag racing background, but on a much smaller level.
Yes, they used to run a low 7-second supercharged Outlaw Capri, which Phil Lamartina's brother John used to drive. It was built by Darren Morgan, and they said, Darren, we're going to go Top Fuel. Do you want to drive? And he certainly put his hand up. Oh, Darren Morgan gets out hard, shuts the car off early. I think it may have thrown the blowout. You could see it was hosing a bit of fuel, and he rolls to a 568, 170 miles per hour off it very early. Wade, that car ran 485 on his licenser.
That is amazing, isn't it? He's certainly taken to it very quickly.
Take a look at this on replay, and have a look at the car left very hard. Started to mix the cylinders up, and you can see on the right-hand side of the car, it was hosing a bit of fuel. From the top end of the racetrack, good run from Roy Smith, the 6-second pass, but needs to get a little bit quicker to catch the likes of Lamartina, but you can see that there's fuel hosing out. It's loaded up the motor, and it looks like it has broken the blower belt, and he rolls through to a 560.
What is hard to quantify, Nathan, is what is the difference between a 6-second pass and a 4-second pass? It must be an absolutely world apart.
It's the difference between a Isuzu hitting you in the back of the traffic lights or a semi-trailer.
Yes. So Pommy Steve Reed in the Santos Cranes Top Fueler. He's carrying out on board today. What a contribution the Santos Ramasada family have made to this sport.
Yes, and of course this car here is the national speed record holder at 301 mile an hour from the Summer Nationals, but it was driven then by Mike Dart. Pommy Steve Reed on the first qualifier Saturday evening put this car into the number 2 spot with a 501. Nice strong pass, however it did lay over a little bit in the top end. They were expecting quicker. Unfortunately, they didn't get a second run, so Wade, they're probably down a little bit on data and on research, and Terry Sainey is certainly finding his form.
Well, Sainty, a fantastic story behind all this. The family basically cultivate most of the components in this engine. It's a radical formula. There are more photographers in the first 50 feet of this strip than at the OJ trial. Dead set. Have a look at him. Hanging over the side. Sainty takes on Pommy Steve Reed.
And it's a brand new car too for Terry Sainty, built by himself in his workshop in Wentworthville. So not only is it the engine, it's the car, and this is its first competitive outing up against Steve Reed. Both cars into stage. Sainty with the wheels in the air.
Man, Reed jumped out of it so early. That Sainty, that was a great save. He runs it through at a 5.56, even with getting off the gas at 2.57. Reed not in the equation. That was big time from Sainty.
That was a radical drive. He had the front wheels in the air. He got on and off it about 3 times. The car was out of shape. The crew was stoked. There is his sister Julie, obviously very excited with that. Have a look at this in replay. The moment he got on the throttle, the wheels just headed for the sky, and he stayed in it. Got off the throttle weight. That's a hell of a drive.
He hardly lifted, really, did he? He kept it to that point. All right, I guess they're going to get off it eventually. Major problems there for Reed. This is big time.
Yeah, Steve Reed, instant wheel spin, and it looks like it's throwing the blowout off it as well. Have a look at the way he just controls this power wheel stand. This car is making so much grunt these days. Obviously, the chassis works well. What's remarkable about it is he gets off the throttle. Have a look at this. The car heads for the center line, gets off it again, smokes the tyres, back on it one more time, still runs a 5.50. While in the other lane, Pommy Steve Reed, unfortunately, too much power, instant wheel spin.
Yeah, the Gulf Western Oils team too are putting so much into this sport. The guys, they really enjoy their racing. Here's a look at the onboard for Reed. It's all bad news for him.
I'll tell you what, I've never been that pumped after a run. I just couldn't see him. I just thought, I didn't know where he is. Off the line, I just hit it, and then I could see a bit of sky, and I thought, and I could see a bit more sky, and the other driver say, grab the brake. That didn't do nothing. And I got back off, and then I saw a bit of centre line. I was so pumped after that run. It was unbelievable.
Well, a couple of the young guns here. The Luke Shepherd, the Outlaw entry, Be Scared down the front of the Gulf Western Oil top fueler. Game over on the back. It is a wild-looking ride. Big burnout here at Western Sydney. You're watching the Snap-on Nitro Champs. And he comes up against Johnny Cowan. Now, they tell me this is state-of-the-art, Nathan.
Brand new, best of the best from the US, and this car is going to be shipped over to America, where Andrew Cowan will race it in NHRA. And to prove how good it was, they qualified in #1 with a 4.77 at the fastest ever speed recorded in Australia, 321.89 miles per hour. An absolutely phenomenal pass, and as you imagine, the team were pretty pleased.
Yes, pretty well pumped. The Cowan brothers, they are a remarkable story on their own. Here is the Outlaw, as he is known, Luke Shepherd, of course, the nephew of Bob Shepherd, in another one of these Gulf Western top fuelers. We caught up with him earlier in the day. Nathan asked him about how tough it's getting for top fuel.
It's a tough game, top fuel, and it's getting a lot tougher. There's some serious equipment out there now.
Yeah, there's likes of Lamontina and Sheehan coming, and the old boys Jim and Sano.
The old boys. Is that it?
I'm sure they'll call me Junior. So yeah, it's awfully tough game, awfully expensive game too. But we give it all we got, and so do they. So.
Yes, an interesting character indeed. This is a great matchup. Two of the most promotable young identities in motor racing in this country.
Watch for Cowan, far side. He ran 4.77 in qualifying. He's run a 4.99 as well. Shepherd's got the edge on him. Shepherd's out on Cowan. Oh, the clutch or the engine has let go in the back of the Gulf Western Oils. Dino's Cranes top fuel car. Cowan a 4.86, 305 mile an hour. That is 3 in a row fours, 3 in a row over 300 miles an hour.
Well, you kind of expect that from the Cowan family racing team, don't you? Just look at the debris and stuff that comes off the racetrack there. What we didn't expect was how well Shepherd was going to go up against him.
Have a look at the windows in the back of shot, absolutely vibrating the moment these cars get on the throttle. But have a look at Shepherd float for the centre line. Looks like the clutch exploded, then it might have banged the supercharger. He had the edge on Cowan. I think Cowan would have still run him down.
But Luke's on the trailer and Cowan's into the next round. Top alcohol battle. Wayne Newby up against Mr. Top Alcohol himself, Gary Phillips.
And both of these guys actually struggling a little bit in their own terms. Of course, Gary Phillips, as you say, Mr. Top Alcohol, has been something like 9 times Australian Top Alcohol champion. But he has a little bit of an electrical gremlin and hasn't qualified quite as well as what he would like. And of course, Wayne Newby backweighed after a big incident at the Summer Nationals.
Yes, bigger problems than just an electrical problem here for Newby. If you remember back here, the wheelie bar stripped down and just tore that right rear apart, and then the world turned absolutely horizontal. And we put an onboard camera on the car for his return. It looks like we're right.
Last time we were here, we broke the wheelie bar on the launch and come around and speared the tyre, which spun the car out and backed us into the wall. So we've just done a very expensive rebuild on rebuilding the back of the car, and hopefully we're back on track this again.
Well, Newby was always going to have his hands full with Gary Phillips in a run like this today, but he hasn't had the ideal build-up, as we just saw. Nonetheless, we've been seeing some remarkable things here at the Wizard, Nathan, and big names have been tumbling down the lane.
Well, certainly, and you've got to remember that Wayne Newby in there, when they have their form, have actually run quicker than Gary Phillips ever has. So the car has the potential to beat Phillips, but as you mentioned before, the car's just had a rebuild. I guess Wayne's got to be a little bit cautious, just get a combination that will get this car down the racetrack, but do not be confused. That thing right there, the engine in this car, has the goods to put this car into the 5.5 second zone.
Wouldn't it be a big effort for Newby to be able to pull off the win against Phillips? As you said, Phillips has got his own things to worry about with that little electrical misfire. We'll see whether he's able to conquer it. Great crowd here for the Nitro Champs. Nathan, Sydney has turned out in force.
Yes, it certainly has. There's been 26,000 people here in the first day alone, and of course, come race day, they've packed the house out again. Rev's starting to build up, waiting for Phillips to bump it into stage now. He's into stage one, flash there, gone. Oh, Phillips has got a car length by the time they get to 200 foot and has drilled him.
Yeah, the Lucas Leadfoot stomps him 577 at 241, almost 387 kilometres an hour. He takes care of Newby.
Yes, Debbie Phillips very happy with that run, and a little bit more so than normal because of the fact that they had electrical dramas during qualifying and only ran a 6-1. They've obviously got on top of the combination. Have a look at this pass from Newby though. Go on board with the Coldies Newby Engineering Top Alcohol Dragster, and a 6:30 unfortunately not good enough to get into the next round.
Still not a bad run for him in terms of his confidence though, as the Newlon Products entry comes out. That is just such a great name for an engine starter, isn't it? Steve Reed.
Up against his wife, would you believe, Debbie Reed. Unfortunately, the way that these two cars qualified means that Steve and Debbie race each other in the first round. And of course, that means at least one Reed will go to the semis.
What I love about Debbie's drag, so that you don't get, of course, with Steve's car, is the Deb across the butterflies. Always looks pretty cool.
Yes, Deb looking for a better performance, has run 6:03, but unfortunately hasn't got the car down the track in qualifying. Her husband, however, went to the #1 qualifying position with a 5:95 at 245. Deb, though, she's got other plans.
This weekend, my goal's 5 seconds. I haven't done it yet, and I am really itching to do it. So keep the car on the ground and do 5 seconds.
This is going to be such a great battle. How many sports in the world at an elite level can you race against your husband and or your wife? That is a cool deal.
Yes, 3 generations of racers in the Reed family. That's R-E-E-D. Of course, started with gentleman Jim Reed, Steve's father. Steve races, his wife races, and their son Daniel races in Alton in Supercharged Outlaws. There is Jim Reed on screen now, leaning in to spray the butterflies just so the ice doesn't build up around the injector hat, and Debbie brings it forward. Unfortunately, who is going to win? One of the 2 Reeds will be on the trailer here.
Reeds in drag racing are like Joneses in the phone book. There are plenty of them as we get set. I'd love to see Debbie knock them off. Well, she'll do it.
She's got the performance capability. She'll need to run her first ever 5 if she does so. Steve, a personal best speed-wise in qualifying of 2:45. Wheels in the air, and she has banged the supercharger clean off the top of that motor.
Well, Steve runs through uncontested, a 6:19 at 193, so really coasting through towards the end. But Debbie, what disappointment for her.
Steve got a little bit out of shape as well near the top end of the racetrack, and there is Debbie jumping out of the Top Alcohol Dragster. That car got the front wheels in the air. Steve Reed had his own dramas. Have a look at this thing shake the tyres. You can see him vibrate there, and a 619 is off the pace. But Debbie, front wheels in the air, and then it has had a huge rev and lifted the supercharger clean off the top of the motor. Watch the right side of screen. Bang, there's the flash. Now, it wasn't all smooth sailing for Steve Reed. Have a look at this funny car. Turns towards the wall, gets out of the groove, and Steve says, boy, I better shut this thing off.
That's disappointing, as that's probably Debbie's best chance at knocking him off too. He didn't get a good run at all. Had she been able to do the job, that might have been the win she was chasing.
Dean McLennan now the winner of the Summer Nationals and Top Alcohol Eliminator, the last time these cars actually competed here. And Dean, however, has had a few issues with this car up against Rob Ambrosi. Terrafunny cars this time.
Great looking body styles after the FCL Interstate Transport entry. Nice strong burnout here at Western Sydney. The Nitro Champs have really captured the imagination of Sydney. There's an excellent crowd out here. Good conditions for racing too, slightly cooler. And we take a look at Top Alcohol qualifying, and you can see there McLennan in all sorts of bother.
Yes, and it gets worse for him too. There it is, a big supercharger explosion. That was in his first qualifier. Then the chutes didn't come out for him. Have a look at this. Very lucky to pull the car up, bouncing up and down off the ground, and only just manages to pull the car up before taking on the gravel pit. And then again, another backfire supercharger backfire in his second qualifier. So Dean, after winning the event, has really struggled here at Western Sydney.
He entered the part of the arena known as the Jim Reed stand. That is the kid there at the very end. Of course, Jim went in there on the first day of competition, the opening meeting here for Western Sydney. This will be a good battle. Ambrosi may well take it right up to McLennan here.
Yes, and you might notice that that was Ben Bray, son of the legendary Dorslamer racer Victor, helping out McLennan. Of course, McLennan married to Victor's daughter. McLennan gets the jump, wheels in the air, and it's good by Ambrosi. Another supercharger backfire, and he just goes through for the win.
Well, he got it in the end, a 6:41 at 168. Well, there's the difference. Ambrosi clocked almost 50 mile an hour faster, but couldn't get the win.
Have a look at this on replay. That is the third supercharger backfire for McLennan in a row. Just watch it there. See the body just distort and just rolls through for the win.
Welcome back to American Auto Parts Top Alcohol Eliminator action here from Western Sydney. And a man who's lucky to be here, American Auto Parts sponsored driver, Dean Oakey.
Yeah, we had a bit of a parachute failure. Went through pretty good pass, actually. Pedalled it 3 times and ran a 6 flat, 235. I'm thinking, oh, this feels pretty good, until I pulled the parachute levers and didn't feel them hit. And the brakes I had on the car, there are different brakes, but I just had the normal ones, not the carbon, which this car now has. Didn't do enough off the end into the net, ripped the front off the car completely over 3 times, landed upside down, and before the dust had settled, one of the WSID rescue guys was there. Unbelievable. The most mind-blowing thing out of all of it, apart from walking away, was how quick that guy was there. You know, it's credit to him. Yeah, well, basically this is the car that Stan Tyndall imported in the late 90s and run a very short season. Paul Shackleton bought it, and same, only run 5 or 6 passes. It's been a 2-week thrash, basically. Yeah, unbelievable. 2 weeks solid, 5 guys, and without them it just wouldn't have happened.
So if there's any justice at all in motorsport, this car here will win the final today. Dean Oakey, man, that's just a monumental job to start from scratch, really.
Yes, a 2-week slog on the ex-Stan Tyndall, ex-Paul Shackleton car to get it ready for this event. Up against Scott Ferguson from South Australia. Scott blew this car up at the Summer Nationals, has gone back to South Australia, done a lot of work on the car, and has made it into the field. The Birrell Electroplater's very shiny entry.
Yeah, what a cool looking idea. Of course, that would tie in nicely with the Electroplater's concept, but man, that's one radical looking car.
When you speak about radical, you've got to certainly credit Dean Oakey and the 5 guys that have worked around the clock for 2 weeks solid to get this car at the racetrack. Alan Notches has done all the work to the chassis, the front half of this car, put a whole new front end on it. People like Steve Walsh, his crew chief, who took 2 weeks off work to get this thing ready, and a whole host of people that have just put in their efforts to get Dean Oakey back onto the racetrack.
So what you're saying is, if Dean should, God forbid, red light, he'll have his arms torn off by at least 4 different people.
Yeah, there'll be a few disappointed people in the crowd. The irony behind Dean in that car is it was actually driven last by Paul Shackleton, and Paul Shackleton crashed this car into Dean Oakey at the Winter Nationals and put Dean out of the championship, which he was leading at the time. So now Dean, in some twisted way, has ended up with this car again. Let's see if he can make it through the first round. Ferguson's gone into deep stage. You can see not 2 but 1 lights on the top of the Christmas tree. Oakey's in. Here we go. Ferguson with a massive hole shot, but Oakey's got him back.
Wow, what a great reaction time that must have been for Ferguson. He was out of there early. Oakey runs it through a 591 at 211 miles an hour. Well done to Oakey. He moves through to the next round. That's a good result for him. McLennan, though, is a busy boy in the pit area.
Well, the McLennan Motorsport team working overtime here. 3 times this car has gone down the racetrack and 3 times they have been struck with major problems. Dean, what's going wrong?
Well, we've got a little problem with the supercharger. Keep them wanting to backfire and land on my lap. Actually, at the moment, we don't have a clue what's going on. We're just trying to repair it and just get out there and see what happens. I think we've changed the Maggie since last meeting, and so obviously it's got a bit more spark. We haven't compensated for the fuel. The air's actually quite good and the track's good at the moment. So what we can do is just keep on riching it up and finding a happy medium spot, and hopefully it doesn't land on my lap.
Fuel is a tough game even when you have the latest tried and tested equipment. But when you decide to build a better mousetrap, it takes courage and determination. The Sainties are a shining example of what you can do with a little hard work and Aussie ingenuity.
Basically, we probably build about 99% of it, I'd say. The block, the heads, the cams, the rockers, we make all that stuff, machine the valves, we make the clutch components, we make the rear end. And basically we're trying to chase the other guys, you know.
Dates back a long time. Basically, we used to run big block Chev type engines, and then we finished up making a 4-valve engine. And when we started running nitro, we found that 2 exhaust valves didn't work very good. So, in preference to buying a Chrysler, we decided we'd try and build something that was equally as good, if not better. And we hope we're on the right track.
But one of the main things is we've got 3 valves per cylinder, so 2 inlets, 1 exhaust. We've got overhead camshaft versus pushrod engine like the Chryslers, and the billet block, billet heads, and hopefully she's pretty bulletproof.
How long does each one of these engines take to make?
Probably would be thousands of hours. And they say the life of a top fuel engine, actual competing life, is about 3 minutes.
To do a project like this, to build the whole chassis, the whole engine, it's all locally made here at Wentworthfield. You cannot do a thing like this by yourself, and without the help of people like Gulf Western and Speedflow high performance fittings and all that.
We've known Stan for 20 odd years, and he spoke to us probably 18 months ago about getting involved, and I was excited at the whole concept, etc., and helping Stan, Terry, and promoting our oil, and here we are, and we're extremely happy with drag racing. It's been very good to us.
We're really trying to do it. It's a bit about flying the Aussie flag and being a little bit different and trying to improve the sport.
Because we're an all-Australian company and we try hard to promote that fact. So being involved with someone who make all that stuff here in Australia is excellent.
Yeah, I'm very, very proud of my son. Very, very proud. We both are.
Does it make you nervous?
Oh, yes. Yeah. Oh, yes, very. Yeah.
Have you ever said to him, look, I don't know if you want you to do this?
No, I'd never say that. Never. I never said that to Stan when he raced the boats. I might have thought it, but it's not a good idea. I support him.
Yeah, I really enjoy the family involvement. Like I say, you know, we've got grandkids and everything that are here now, and we've always, as a family, tried to do everything. And the group of guys we've got, basically, some of the guys have been with me for close on 30 years.
I guess you've got to do something in your life. Some people go to the casino, some people go sailing. We don't go on picnics, we do this.
He should be back by Mitre 10. Nobody does the DIY thing like that guy. The complete, does he make the tyres too?
Well, I think that's one of the things they actually can't make, because they're not made out of metal. They can't stick it in a mill and grind them out.
They could try. He's an amazing story and doing very well. And that last driver's got everybody in the place excited. We move to semi-final action now.
Yeah, speaking of doing well, Darren Morgan and the Lamattina and Sons, Rocky Lamattina and Sons Top Fuel Dragster, this is their first ever race meeting. Darren Morgan only got his licence yesterday and he's into the semi-final. He has already run a 485. Now, what makes that impressive? Jim Reed, in his 38 years of competition, has never run a 485. The quickest that car's ever gone is a 489. So these guys mean business.
I bet Jim's really glad that you brought that up too, Nathan.
Yes, Jim's the sort of guy, though, that hasn't won all those championships for no reason. Very cagey. These guys are the new kids on the block. They have to prove now that that 485 wasn't a fluke.
Huge crowd here at Western Sydney for the Snap-on Nitro Champs. It is absolutely standing room only in most places here at Western Sydney. This will be a good battle. You'd expect Sainty will still do the job here.
Yes, Sainty with a huge wheel stand in the last round. Lamatina's got the good. What a hole shot from Terry Sainty. He's got the edge. Bang! The supercharger absolutely disintegrates on the top of that engine. And Morgan, a 487. I talked about a fluke. There's your proof, folks. 487, 277 miles an hour to get the win.
Where has this guy come from? We know the teams come from Mildura. Sainty off the line very well. Pretty even reaction times. It looks to be, at this point, Sainty's race, and then boom! It's all the Lamatina entry.
Well, you get the occasional supercharger backfire, but this is a humongous one. Absolutely destroys the top of that.
Sainty had it done earlier, but couldn't carry it on. The fairy tale continues for Morgan.
Darren, 487 into your first final at your first race meeting.
Awesome, eh?
How'd it feel? 487, mate. Was it similar to the qualifier?
Probably a bit calmer. We'd learned how to drive it a bit better, I guess. Just moving around a little bit, it was fun.
Mate, the unfortunate thing is behind you, there's a fair bit of oil on everything, mate. I think you might have burned it up a bit.
Oh, well, there's more parts, I guess.
A massive meltdown for Sainty. Thank goodness at least they build their own equipment.
Terry, how do you say boom?
Mate, that was a hell of a bang, wasn't it?
What do you think's gone wrong, mate?
I'm not sure. Might have just hung an inlet valve open, or we'll have to look at the data and see what happened. It was going okay, then just bang.
What's the saying? If you can't be fast, be spectacular.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Jim Reed and Johnny Cowan about to square off. Nathan found out from Jim Reed earlier that his time behind the wheel may be running out.
He's the most successful top fuel racer in Australia's history. He's won just about everything there is to win, and to top off his stellar career, he's been instrumental in the construction of this amazing facility. But after 35 years, Jim Reed is about to hand over the reins of his famous Red Rocket.
It'll be an emotional time, but I don't think any of us will know when he races. He's not ever going to say, that's it. He'll be like Graham Cowan and a few of the others, where he won't retire, he'll just stop driving. And then if the opportunity arises one day to have a lap, then he can have a lap.
Nathan, I don't like the word permanent. I have this little toy at home, it's called 301 mile an hour. It's my spare car.
It's been coming for a few years. Dad has been dropping hints for about 2 years, and then about in 2001, he said, let's go to America, we're buying a new car, you're going to come make sure you're fit. And I thought, this is it. Got a new fire suit, helmet, the whole thing. And I'm only just starting to use it. It's nearly out of date, but hey, what the hell. We were nervous on Thursday when Phil did his first pass. Just a different type of nerve. I mean, we don't want to see Dad stop racing, but ultimately he'll probably have to.
Well, I've never been on the outside of my car. The only car that anyone's ever driven has been my pony cars back in the 70s. No, but it felt quite strange. And I felt a little bit proud, but...
When Phil and I went to Frank Hawley's driving school in Florida a couple of weeks ago, I went with him, and I was worried that we were going to get there and I was going to stand on the start line and go and have those pangs of, uh-oh, I should have paid my money and had to go too, but I didn't. This is what I like to do. I like to make them go. I think one day he will have a squirt, but he's a bit of a control freak where he likes to be on the outside controlling the situation. Inside, which I realised last night, you don't know what's going on behind you. A bit of a control freak. You have more control outside the car. Make sure your crew does this, the driver does that. So that's what I would prefer at this point. I would like to have a go at some point, but I'm not too sure if that'll make everything else pale into insignificance.
It's not something that's given to us. Dad's always made sure we worked hard, and he's always said you're not going to sit in it until you know what's happening behind you, and that's the way we're doing it. So it's not like I've just been given something. So.
Phil will be the driver. I'm still the boss. So, and if he doesn't do what we tell him on the run, I'll just flip his visor open and poke him in the eye.
And he's got the rest of his life to do this. Don't do anything stupid. I mean, if you get out there, it gets out of shape, just get off it. So what? I mean, you live to race another day. That's the most important thing. And try and bring your race car back in one piece.
Phil's wife, Julie, is the sister of fellow top fuel competitor Terry Sainty. So come race day, where does her allegiance lie?
I've often asked her what's going to happen when I'm racing her brother, and she says, well, I wasn't Sainty first, but she won't give me an answer. But I think once I start driving full time, you know, I think she'll come around my way.
Yes, now this will be a battle with a little bit of passion in it, I would think. Jim Reed, the experienced veteran, Mr. Top Fuel, up against the kid that is kicking butt all around town. Johnny Cowan with that incredible new Top Fuel dragster.
Yes, Jim, of course, hopefully very shortly about to put his son Phil into the driver's seat. The combined duties with the running of Western Sydney International Dragway and running a top fuel team, you've got to either decide to do one or the other, and I think Jim's decided, hey, Western Sydney's a pretty important place. I think I should focus on that. Phil, step up to the plate.
We'll have a look at the crowd that's in the house here for this. Johnny Cowan, these cars are going so fast, you've got to wonder, where's all the horsepower coming from?
There's been a huge step up in engine performance, not only in the United States, but a lot of people here starting to get the new setback blowers. Graham, explain to us how they work and why they work so well.
Well, Nath, what you have here is basically, if you know what a torque manifold is, it's basically the size of a carburettor, and the pressure goes down and it's got individual runners into the different cylinders.
Yep.
And it actually makes the motor more efficient, which actually gives it more power. Where in the old days, you'd have a great big open plenum area, and you'd have the supercharger, which directs the air to the front. You'd have more air in the front than in the back of the great big open plenum, and you have to run lower compression in the front and higher compression in the back, and stagger your compression and tune each cylinder accordingly. Yep. This way, we can put the supercharger on, the air goes down here, and it's distributed evenly to all the cylinders. Therefore, we can run even nozzles in each cylinder and even compression.
When Graham Cowan talks, you better listen, because not many people know performance parts like that guy.
One of the smartest guys in the game, not only here in Australia, but around the world. And of course, Graham and his sons returning to the US to run this car, the brand new top fuel dragster, complete with Cowan family racing down the side of it. If it's running in the US, it's running on that car. Jim Reed with a brand new combination as well. These guys have only been down the racetrack once with a new combination, and with a top fuel car, every time you get a lap in, you learn something.
Reed would love to have a win at this facility before he does hand over the wheel to Phil. We'll see whether he's able to do it right here. Cowan in the far lane, the kid blasts off, and Reed's got his measure.
Reed's got the edge, shuts it off early, and Cowan goes through with another 480, this time a 485.5, 310 miles per hour, or 496 Ks. Jim Reed still ran a 508, shutting off early. A great job from the Auto 1 team. They're obviously getting on top of that new combination, but 485 at 310 is tough to beat.
Think about that. That is 4 kilometres off 500 kilometres an hour. That is just insane.
So just saw Johnny Cowan drive by then. Jim Reed got a little closer to the centre line. Have a look at this again on replay. Jim Reed certainly had the edge. He's got it just a nose in front past half track.
Having a look at the top end of the racetrack here, it's pretty even out of the blocks, but Reed starts to fade towards the centre line. He has to get out of it slightly. I wonder if it made any difference. Johnny Cowan's your winner regardless.
There I go, man.
Into another final, 485, 310.
Oh, well, that's sweet, man. This is Darren's first race, and he's straight into the finals in the deep end, and I'll be happy to race him. Thank you.
Yeah, I was shut off well before the end. I got lost in where the end of the quarter was. I'm thinking, I'm here, and I'm here.
I wonder why you got off it. I thought it broke the blow bar.
No, it didn't break anything, it was me.
So Jim Reed takes full responsibility. Semi-final time now for American Auto Parts Top Alcohol. This is Mr. Phillips arriving for work, as he is best known up against Oakey. Man, this will be a big job right here. Oakey ran very strongly in his opening run, but he's got to take care of Phillips in what is pretty well an untested formula, Nath.
Yes, Phillips has come into this with a lot more confidence. Ran a 577 in his last round of eliminations. They had an electrical issue and have actually replaced 4 different items on the car. They're not sure what the problem was, but at least they've fixed it now. And Oakey ran a 591 very easily at only around 216 miles an hour. So there's plenty left in that American Autos dragster.
Well, this will be the big test for him, no doubt about it. Phillips has just said his confidence will be a little bit stronger, one would think. It just amazes me that Phillips is able to compete in top door slammer and top alcohol. Not just the logistics of being the driver between those two categories, but man, the man hours that must go into those two cars.
Well, Phillips is what you call a professional race car driver. He does this for a living, and there is none that are more experienced when it comes to tuning these top alcohol engines than Gary Phillips. He has been around and has done it, and as I said before, he has won nearly, I think it's something like 10 or 9 top alcohol championships, and he has certainly been one of the front runners in top door slammer of late as well.
How long are the wheelbase on these cars? Man, that thing looks like a limousine.
a maximum of 300 inches from front axle to rear axle. And you might notice that Gary Phillips runs very long end wing plates. I think they're allowed 12 inches overhang on the front of these cars. And when these cars are going through the top end of the racetrack at full speed, the rear tyre grows and actually sometimes can trip that front beam with the front wings. Let's see if Oakey's luck continues. Can he make it into the final?
Phillips up against Oakey. Oakey got the best start by a mile, but Phillips is going to run home so strongly in that Lucas car. A 575, 243.9. Oakey in some trouble, bouncing down the racetrack.
No shoots again for Dean Oakey. That's what he crashed the race car 3 weeks ago. He had no parachutes, and again, Dean Oakey with a very scary moment. Let's have a look at this on replay. He got a massive hole shot on Gary Phillips, but a 575 from Phillips was going to be tough to beat. All the interest for Dean Oakey ended up in the braking area where he had, again, no parachutes. Now have a look at this. When you brake hard in a dragster, the big squishy tyres start to bounce, and you can hear the engine revving as his foot is bouncing on the throttle. That's a scary moment for Dean Oakey.
Man, that is just amazing. Let's catch up with our winner right now, Gary Phillips.
I love it. That thing really, that pulled really good. The track's coming around, and I could just about kiss you, Nathan.
Do you ever heard the saying, deja vu?
Yeah, lightning strikes twice and all that. I think it's the other one. No, I'm not too sure there. It's this car's got like a pneumatic chute release. It's supposedly the ant's pants, but I don't have a lot of faith in it after that, because you can see there, it's not doing what it's meant to. That lever's meant to come back here in a flash, and it don't want to. And it's no fault of mine or the crew's or anyone else. We'll make sure that's public notice, but yeah, love those carbon brakes.
American Auto Parts top alcohol semi-final time continuing now, and Steve Reed up against McLennan. This will be a great battle. Steve Reed after a fairly average run by his own standards earlier, mate.
Yes, and what this guarantees is a funny car versus dragster final. Of course, it was 2 dragsters before, now there's 2 funny cars, so it will be a funny car versus dragster final.
You know, the Reed family absolutely live for their drag racing, as Nathan found out earlier today.
He's been racing blown alcohol cars for 27 years, following in his father's footsteps as his son has followed him. But with his wife Debbie also competing, things certainly get busy in the pits for the Reed family.
My dad raced for a long time, since 1965 or whatever. I started driving in 77 or 78 and been driving ever since. And now son Daniel's been racing for the last 2 seasons.
Actually, we tried to push him into anything else, you know, like go try bikes, go try something else, but no, he loves the drag racing and he really enjoys it. So
when I met Debbie, Debbie was a drag racing fan. She wasn't involved, but straight away she wanted a car built, and she ran street meets and then stepped up to super sedan, modified with a dragster, and then it's just been a gradual progression to where she is now.
Well, I love the speed, the competition, the adrenaline, the whole thing. The people, they're really, you know, really great people.
You could probably say Dad's the head of the family. He makes a lot of main decisions on the funny car. Yeah. I sort of basically make the major decisions on Debbie's dragster, and Daniel sort of looks after himself, I suppose.
I love it. I'd be absolutely lost without it. And working on my grandson's car and Debbie's car and our car keeps me busy. You've got to keep busy when you're my age.
It does get a little bit, yeah, a bit of a strain at times, but mostly the parts kind of get handed down as they go. Daniel's the end of the line, so usually when he's finished with them, they're not much good. But yeah, it's a bit of a strain, but I mean, we love doing it, so.
Very, very proud. I couldn't be more proud of the whole family. Daniel is a really good little driver. He's going to do real well, and Debbie's good, Stephen's good. I enjoy it.
Doing it together as a family is the added bonus on top of that, because we all love to race. Otherwise, we'd be quite happy to sit back and watch one person do it, but we all like to do it, so.
And of course, what McLennan's got in his corner is the vast resources of Bray Racing that he's able to call upon, and that is, well, it's basically like knowing Elvis when you want to make a record.
That's a very good analogy, Wade. I like that one. 5.98 personal best, I think, for McLennan, and a 5.80 for Steve Reed. But McLennan has the cloud hanging over his head that of the last 3 passes this car has put down the racetrack, it has backfired the supercharger every single time.
Here we go. This will be a good battle. You would expect McLennan will have something for Reed here.
A lot of smoke, though, coming out of the back of the McLennan Motorsport funny car, and the car turns right immediately off of the start line. Steve Reed starting to mix the cylinders up a little bit and runs it through with a 6.03, 240 miles an hour, off the pace a little bit, but I think Wade McLennan's car was starting to hose a bit of smoke, possibly dropping some oil on the start line.
What worries me about this deal for Reid, though, Nathan, we take a look at the replay and see McLennan in big trouble right from the get-go as you picked it with the smoke. Reid has not had a really tough run yet. He's not been able to put together a blind of a run. He's going to come up against Phillips in the final very soon with no real research today.
McLennan very lucky, just I think missed the wall, but yeah, Steve Reid into the final against Phillips.
6:03, yeah, hoping a little bit quicker than that, but hopefully we can try and step it up for the final. Probably the bit of driver error there, didn't run it far enough in each gear, so hopefully we can improve in the final.
If you can burn it, the more fuel you can get into an engine, the more power you can make. So it's easy then to assume if you make 7,000 horsepower, you have to burn a hell of a lot of fuel.
The fuel system on a top fuel car is designed to deliver huge volumes of nitro to the engine at a number of different places and times. Starting at the fuel tank, the nitro is drawn down massive solid fuel lines by large mechanical fuel pumps and the force of the car's forward motion. When the fuel leaves the pumps, it is distributed around the engine by up to 64 different nozzles, including 2 behind each intake valve.
At full throttle, the fuel pressure reaches an incredible 500 psi, and the fuel pumps are outputting 450 litres per minute, or more than a fireman's hose.
When the car leaves the start line, a complex set of air-activated timers fire at precise increments and gradually feed more and more fuel to the engine as the clutch hooks up and the engine takes on more load.
If everything goes to plan, one of these 500 cubic inch monsters will burn about 60 litres of nitromethane at $10 a litre on a single pass.
A lot of work here in the Lamatina pit area. They had big dramas after the semi-finals, but they've received help from an unexpected source.
It's got to warm your heart. Your first race meeting, you get into the final and another competitor is helping you out with parts.
Yeah, I can't say enough for Graham Cowan. He's just a champion. Yeah, well, that's what it's all about. Darren's a good friend of ours, and Lamatina's a good racing family. Darren helped me out in America, so it's payback time, so we're going to help him out now.
What are you giving them?
We're going to lend him a pair of heads. The boys are thrashing out and see if the heads that Graham's given us can fit, and if they are, we're out there.
What happened to the other heads?
We've torched 2 sets this weekend. We hope we can whip their ass, but if they whip ours, good luck to them.
Well, if you ever wondered how tough these top fuel cars on engine parts, have a look what 4.87 seconds does. Tell me, John, what's actually occurred here?
Well, Nathan, we've been chasing a little problem all weekend. It's been a little bit lean, and we probably haven't had enough fuel pump on it, to be quite honest. The air changed a little bit. We stayed in the staging lanes a little bit too long. We probably should have put a little bit more pump in it, and we got caught. As simple as that.
So tell me, these burn marks here, what causes that? Is that just leaning out and coming out the side?
Yeah, it's just very, very lean, and the flame just burns straight across the gasket and straight out the side, and that's it. So we've got to put another pair on it, but we've got another short to go, and we didn't come this weekend to do this. We wanted to get Darren's licence, and it's been fantastic. The boys have worked absolutely fantastic. It's a brand new team. They've never worked in top fuel before, so it's a credit to them and credit to everyone here this weekend.
I never thought I'd be calling Graham Cowan a guardian angel.
Well, yes, he certainly has arrived and helped these guys out, and they've only just made it as well. Those cylinder heads aren't the ones they normally run. They had to fit them to the car, make sure they work, and they managed to get the car fired up. Here is Darren Morgan and the Rocky Lamatino and Sons top fuel dragster. These guys have done a great job just to even get licensed, let alone make it to the final up against Cowan.
Big burnout here for Morgan. The fairy tale continues, but a huge burnout from Johnny Cowan. And of course, he was the winner of the last event here at Western Sydney. Let's take a look at that great run now.
You do not want to do this in a top fuel car. Both of them in. Dunn smokes the tyres. Cowan's all the way. No, he shuts down. Dunn nearly gets him, but doesn't.
And he's not short on confidence. He's certainly not short on equipment. This will be a good measure, really, though, for Morgan. He's now come up against the biggest brick wall he'll face this weekend.
And if Johnny Cowan wins this event, it will be 4 in a row. If he runs a 4 at 300 miles an hour, it will be all 4s and all 300 miles an hour. And if he wins this race, he will be the 2003-2004 Australian top fuel champion.
And that would be a fitting result, you would think, because he's certainly been the form guide, the pace setter for this championship this year. There is that very professional team. I'm sure that you'll find Andrew Cowan not too far away there either.
Yes, Andrew, of course, heavily involved in the tune-up of that car. Really gets behind his brother Johnny. Johnny's done a great job behind the wheel, and this car and this whole team have done a sensational job throughout the entire Top Fuel season. You can't take anything away, though, from the Lamartina team. They have done a great job, an air of confidence about the team. Don't confuse it with arrogance. Those guys are just here to do the job and do it well.
Cowan in the far lane. Morgan with the Lamartina and Sons entry closest to camera.
Cowan with the edge. Morgan two-steps it with tyre shake. The car explodes in a ball of fire, and Johnny Cowan, a 475, 316 mile an hour, 4 1,000ths of a second off the quickest ever pass in Australia's history. Of course, that was Andrew Cowan 2 years ago. Johnny, great job. You are the Australian Top Fuel champion.
And you can see the delight in Andrew Cowan's face. There's no jealousy between those boys. They are as happy for each other as they would be anybody else. Look at that, a 475, a faultless run. You've got to feel sorry for Morgan. This was a big detonation.
Have a look at this. It starts to torch the heads again, and huge fireball. The car still runs a strong number, and Johnny Cowan, boy, 475, that was going to be very tough to beat. The national record is a 4750. Have a look at this run from the Lamartina Top Fuel Dragster. You saw the flash of green flame, then the huge fireball, and that engine, I'd say, is fairly second-hand. The heads that Graham loaned them, I just think they just bought them.
Yeah, just take them back. I'm sure Graham will be good for a warranty. Look at Andrew there. Look at the delight. Absolutely, he sees the timer come up, and look at the forces at play here.
Yes, have a look at the little electrical flashes you start to see shoot through the screen. It was starting to torch the head, and then it just shot a huge fireball.
But Johnny Cowan is the man.
475, 316 mile an hour. That's 4 in a row, and I'd have to say you've got to be the new Australian Top Fuel champion. Well done, mate.
Oh, thanks, man. Well, 475 is well, that's my brother's numbers and up the twins.
Mate, you're the new champion. I'd say there's no one that can beat you in the points for Top Fuel. How does it feel to be the Australian Top Fuel #1?
It's a dream come true, man.
It was awesome.
It's your first ever race meeting. You got to the final. What a great job.
We got beaten by the best people in Australia. Who cares?
Reid and Gary Phillips. This is going to be a battle and a half. Reid up against it a bit, though.
Well, theoretically, the funny cars should be quicker than the dragsters. The dragsters and funny cars run different weights per engine size, but the funny cars are actually allowed a lot more overdrive. Gary Phillips in another final. He was in the final of the Summer Nationals, but didn't quite make it. Let's have a look at that now. Can he run a 5? He's going to need to if he's going to beat Phillips.
McLennan got out of the hole beautifully. Oh, Phillips started to wander. It's all McLennan. Well, you just know that this man right here in the Lucas Oil's Aussie Bananas dragster wants this one bad.
2 570s in a row, and he wants to get another Australian championship, and to do so he needs to get around Steve Reid. Steve Reid would be very happy though to be in a final. Of late he's really been smoking the tyres a fair bit off the start line, and he really needs to come up with a personal best, I think, to get around Phillips.
Well, now's the time to do it, Nate. There'll be no later chances. He's got to do the job on Phillips.
Rev starting to build up. Reid's into stage. Can he get around it? Gets the whole shot of it, starts to smoke the tyres. All out of shape for Steve Reid, and Gary Phillips, winner of the Snap-on Nitro Champs in American Auto Parts Top Alcohol Eliminator.
And Reid has just not had a good day at the office there. It is a 577, 242, just a shade over 387 kilometres an hour for Phillips. A strong day at the office. Reid probably wish he'd never got out of bed today.
Unusually, this car got a long way out before it started to smoke the tyres, got all out of shape, managed to keep it off the wall only just. That's a great drive job, Wade.
Oh, there's no doubt about his talent. It's just been down to the luck department. And as you see, a split second off the gas, and Phillips is home and hosed. He takes out the American Auto Parts Top Alcohol final.
The old visor fogged up there, mate. I must have been breathing pretty heavy because the thing kicked back on the starter, but my super crew pulled me through again. Lucas Oil Products, like I said before, thanks guys. Without you, I'm lost for words, and that's a rarity.
Got too greedy, I think.
Did you tag the wall?
No, I think I missed the wall. Yeah, just missed the wall.
Good work,
I just
mate.
congratulate you.
Well, that's all we have time for on today's program. From everybody here at Speedweek, thanks for your company. We'll catch you next week right here on Speedweek.